Hey everybody, we made this video so that we could show you what our typical bed flipping process is like on the farm. We want you to really stick around to the end of the video. We're going to do some number crunching and some math and figure out whether this new tool that we bought, the PAPERPOT transplanter, is really going to save us time and money on the farm. So stick around and hope you enjoy the video. So the first thing we do is we remove these black silage tarps. These tarps have been sitting for a minimum of 6 weeks. I think these particular ones were actually sat over winter. We had to fix them a couple times over winter with the winds, but we removed those tarps. They keep the ground dry over the time, and they also kill off weeds. Here we're broad forking the beds to break up compaction. Broad forking lets more air into the soil and lets the roots be able to penetrate down into the soil profile, and the broad fork is less damaging to the overall soil profile. So it's not the tilling that's beating up the soil and killing all the microorganisms. Generally there's not a lot of disturbance that's happening with the broad fork. So here we're adding amendments. These beds were pretty good shape, so we just had to use our normal light amendments. I think it's Azimite and Harmony organic fertilizer on this one. Next, we use this bed prep rake to rake out the beds, incorporate the amendments, and also just to level the beds out. You'll see with the PAPERPOT transplanter that your bed prep has to be really on point. So here's the PAPERPOT transplanter, and this is the first time we were actually using this on an outside bed. We did do a separate video of planting green onions in the tunnels, but those beds are in much better shape. They were a little bit drier. We had a little bit of trouble here with the outside beds. With them being still pretty wet, the soil was kind of bunching up along the transplanter tool, and it was also having a hard time getting the transplants to be buried at the correct depth. We also had some struggle with rocks. One thing with the PAPERPOT transplanter, you really cannot have rocks in your bed, or else it's going to screw up your whole day. So that's going to be a little bit of a struggle for us as we go through. A good bit of our beds are nice and fluffy and rock free, but we have a good part of the farm that still has quite a bit of rocks in it. So I don't know if that means we're going to have to pick and choose on which beds we can PAPERPOT in. I'd really not like to do that, but the alternative is going through and having a rock picking party and getting them all out. So here is when I kind of realized I wasn't going to have enough plants for just doing both two beds with the PAPERPOT transplanter. So I think I got about a little less than half of the second bed completed. Because of the PAPERPOT's not being at the correct depth, you do sometimes have to go through and hit it with a tool just to cover up those paper chains, and sometimes it's even easier if you just use your hands to just cover up the soil, just cover the plants up with extra soil. So that bed and a half took about 10 minutes in real time. Obviously we ran out of the paper chains, so I did have an extra tray of regular transplants to be able to transplant the old way for the last half of the bed. And that got me starting to think about, well, let's do a little experiment and figure out what the actual comparison in time and price between the two different transplanting options is going to be. So the old way of transplanting is, obviously just plopping the plugs down in their approximate spot, and then you just go back and have to plant them out. Normally with Meg and I, we can do a full bed in about 35 to 40 minutes. And that's the two of us working together. Just me here doing this, just about a half a bed, it took about 30 minutes on my own. Now's the time that I ask you all to, like and subscribe and hit that bell notification. We'd really appreciate it if you all helped us grow our channel. So let's get down to it. Let's do some math here. So with the PAPERPOT transplanter, it took us 10 minutes to do 1.5 beds. That equals out to 6 minutes and 45 seconds to plant out one bed on average. With the traditional transplanting method, it took me 30 minutes to do a half a bed. The math's easy there. That's 60 minutes to do one bed. There's some other minor considerations that we need to take into account, such as the bed prep that we talked about. It takes longer to get the beds in more pristine shape to be able to paper pot transplant. There's a little bit more time in the seeding effort. Obviously, there's a cost with each of the paper pots chains. Nevertheless, at say, we'll pick a number out, say $50 an hour of an average wage rate. That's a little bit of a pie in the sky, but let's just go with it. The cost of paper pot would be 1/10 of an hour times $50 an hour is $5. The paper pots at $2.50 each times 4 paper pots per bed is another $10. So $15. The traditional transplanting is very easy, right? So it takes us an hour to transplant one bed. And if we're going to go with that same $50 an hour, that's a $50 cost. So every bed we plant out with a paper pot theoretically saves us $35. That's assuming we pay ourselves at that rate, which hopefully at some point we're going to be doing. The paper pot system that we bought from Neversink Tools cost us around $1,000 out the door. So take that $1,000 of cost and divide it out by the savings of $35 per bed. That means that in 29 beds, we've already broken even on the cost for the paper pot transplanter. Probably more important than the money aspect of it, at least for Meg and I at this point in time, is just getting some time back. You're going to see this on our channel constantly, but any little efficiencies that we can add to the farm means that much more time that Meg and I can be doing either more farm work or stuff around the house or stuff with the kids. The sustainability of our farm really hinges upon all these efficiencies adding up.